Hello, everyone, and welcome to YPC Media's webinar series. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Danielle Henderson. I'm the Vice President here at YPC Media. And today myself, along with Katie Fitzgerald, our Director of Operations and Marketing, will be covering today's topic, Google is changing forever. And today we'll be covering a few key concepts. We're going to cover how AI is changing the way people search. We're going to review some 2024 and 2025 emerging trends in the advertising landscape. We will head into the popular topic of TCPA compliance. And as always, we will leave you with a takeaway checklist for you to implement in your business immediately after this call.
Yes, and thanks everybody again for joining. Just a reminder, there is a Q&A section here at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions as things come up, we have a lot of information that we're going to throw your way in the next 30 minutes. So please add any questions. If we don't have time for questions at the end, we will be doing some follow-up. So put those in there and follow along with us. Let's get started, Danielle.
Absolutely. So how AI is changing the way people search. At this point, we've done some webinars about AI, and pretty much everyone on this call at some point has used a form of ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot. So today we want to introduce dialogue search. Dialogue search is a new way of searching that allows users to interact with search engines or databases in a more natural and human-like way. It's going to be a back and forth conversation. You're going to ask a question and you're going to get an answer that's more contextually relevant to the specific question that you asked. We're all familiar with SEO, and you've probably heard us say GEO here and there. But if you haven't, I want to cover those two things and what the differences are and how dialogue search plays into this. So SEO and GEO are both digital marketing strategies that aim to increase a website's visibility, but they do so in different ways. So SEO, or search engine optimization, is going to focus on a website's ranking, and it's going to use traditional search methods like keywords, meta tags, and backlinks. We measure success with SEO with things like click-through rates or time spent on a page. GEO, or generative engine optimization, focuses on optimizing website content for AI-driven searches like GPT or Gemini. GEO is going to use that AI and machine learning to create content that is relevant and resonates with audiences. It's going to be measured by impression metrics and share how often a website's content is used to answer those dialogue-specific questions. So with SEO, it's not the old way of searching, but we're going to call it the old way of searching for the means of this webinar, is car insurance near me. So keyword focused. With GEO's new way of searching, we're going to say, how do I get insurance for my car if I get into an accident? Will my car insurance cover a fender bender? There are going to be different ways of searching, but simply put, SEO is going to be content that's structured around keywords and links, and GEO is going to be content that needs to be more integrative. So what does this mean for our businesses? It means the way we optimize our digital presence online needs to change. We still need to focus on SEO because the majority of searches are still spent on Google, but that percentage is declining with the increase of these AI search engines, and we need to make sure that we have the right content and strategies prepared to get you into this new dialogue search. So we're going to jump over and actually look at an example of what you would see in AI search. So when we look at AI search, users are usually satisfied with the AI overview or snippet. So if you look at the right-hand side, if you haven't seen this already, when you search for something in Google, you'll often see the ads, and then you can scroll past those ads and see an AI overview of the question you asked. Users are satisfied with these answers, but also they're more likely to scroll kind of through those ads to get to their answer faster. So in this case, we asked, what should I do if I need a new roof? In the past, it would be new roof near me, roofing contractor near me. But now they're just trying to figure out, what do I do? And the answer that's displayed is saying the first thing that you do is get a professional inspection from a roofing company. So instead of relaying the closest local business, it's saying before you even look at getting a new roof, get your roof inspected. So usually we would look at this and say, okay, so they're going to go look for a roofing contractor, right? No, what you're going to see is the next step that this user is going to take is going to go look for a roofing inspection or a roofing inspection company that can help me get an inspection on my roof. If you look below, there is a get a professional inspection from a roofing company article that was referenced in that company's website. And that is the first information that comes up. So what we're going to see is users are going to start asking more questions, get more educated before actually going into that local business. It's going to change the way the funnel works a little bit, elongate the process. But what is important for you to know and for you to do is make sure that you start looking at your business, not just in keywords, but in terms of your customer journey. What problem do you solve for your clients? How do you precede the need for that by answering questions and being the educator on that topic? You want to build out that customer journey and build out relevant content that can be referenced by AI in these dialogue searches. So when it's time for them to get to that final point of saying roofing contractor near me, you're the business that they've already chosen that they go to when they search through that method. Along with AI search, we're also seeing an increase in the use of social media as a search engine. So why are people turning to social media as a search engine? It's because they get genuine reviews, they are trusted sources, and most importantly, it gives great video content that's very easily digestible. So here's the facts. 64% of Gen Z use TikTok as a search engine. And I know a lot of us on here are not Gen Z and we're thinking, okay, fine, whatever. But the truth is, Gen Z is the next set of our clients and our consumers. We need to start playing to the future. But regardless of what your generation is, 41% of all consumers have used TikTok as a search engine. This was not the case a year ago, maybe not even 6 months ago when they introduced some advertising practices. So we need to think about how do we utilize these social media platforms and how do we utilize these new ways of searching to get our business information out there. I know I use it all the time. I'm not going to lie. It's not just for products. It's also for services. There's some interesting things out there. Katie, I know you and I were just talking about it. You were looking for auto detailing recently because you watch those car videos.
My two little kids are making a mess of my car, and I love cleaning videos naturally. And on my For You page comes up a detailer that actually will come to your driveway and do it in your driveway at home, making it super convenient. So not something I ever would have thought of. I would have thought of going to, use a vacuum myself at one of those neighborhood cleaning places, but there's so many new opportunities to reach people on that. So these trends are definitely something to pay attention to.
And as we look, we talked about the AI search going into social media. It's just looking at your business a different way and trying to reach your consumers and your potential consumers in a relevant and connected way that is going to make them choose you when the time comes for them to actually need your service, like Katie needing an auto detailer. We could talk about this topic for a long time, but we have a lot to cover. So Katie, I'm going to let you jump into the 2024-2025 Google Trends.
Yeah, so along with social media, we're seeing a lot of different trends come up on Google. And I know a lot of you that joined today are YPC customers. You might run Google ads with us. And, some of the trends that maybe your account managers have already started talking to you about, if they haven't, it's things that they're going to start coming up. But things that we've started implementing from our side as a team. So the first trend really is that automation and smart bidding. Google has put in AI into their UI on the back end. So our media buyers on the YPC team have been utilizing these structures within the UI for the past few months, if not, it feels like a year really at this point. But what they're doing is allowing us to upload your website, create different automations, create ad copy, keywords, and also implement smart bidding. The one thing with this type of trend is that we have to be really careful as your media buyer to really take a look at those automations. We're still at a phase with AI where that human component is so important. There's a lot of you out there that have compliance rules and let's be honest, all as small business owners, we have budget limitations too. So we can't spend as much as Google would want us to. Of course, we would all love to spend a ton of money and get a ton of leads, but that's always not the optimal method there. The next trend has really been voice search, and I think this has been on the list for probably the last 5 years or so. It's become more natural, just like dialogue search. It's really become a trend because people are literally talking into their phones. Now you can do that in the Google search bar. You can talk to, I don't want to set off everyone's devices if you're at home, but your Amazon device, the one that's on your iPhone, a Google device, and so on. So, you're talking right into that, which is just enhancing that dialogue search. And really, our team has taken a stance of trying to implement those types of searches into what we're doing, which really goes into that next Google trend, which is broad match. So I know not everyone on here is a Google professional, but when we do implement your Google ads, we put in different keywords and we tell Google what we want your ad to come up for. And those are the keywords that Google serves your ads based upon. And what they're always recommending to us now through their AI, through all the recommendations that come in every single day, is wanting us to transition those keywords that typically we want exact matches for. So like a insurance quote or a detailing quote or so on. We're moving away from that exact match to a broad match, which has its pros and cons. So pro being we're finding searches and finding new customers that we never did before, because we can't interpret how every single person searches. We all speak differently. We all have different needs. So being able to find new searches has been really important. On the downfall, however, we're grabbing people that don't necessarily need exactly what we're looking for. So there's pros and cons to both of that. The fourth one, which I think is why a lot of you are here today, is data privacy. We're going to get to that in the next slide. So stay with us. I know we're already here 12 minutes in. I promise we're going to get to it. But the last trend on here is really AI overviews. So just like we just talked about, those AI overviews that show up based on your searches right after the ad, sometimes based on your search, an ad might not even populate for your search, but there are going to be some opportunities down the road that we're staying on top of. So what are we doing here at YPC to stay on top of trends? What are some things that you can do to stay on top of these trends to make sure that you're doing the best you can to keep your ads top of mind? One is that we're constantly looking at ways to enhance websites and landing pages. I know some of you out there don't have control of this, so that does make it very difficult. But if you are someone that has a website with us and landing pages, we're consistently looking for new ways to make sure that your pages are optimized for GEO and, of course, for ads. We do utilize the AI. So our team uses ChatGPT, Gemini, whichever you prefer. We've tried it here really to improve our keywords, targeting, ad copy, you name it. We're asking it questions every single day. Sometimes I call ChatGPT my new best friend, but we also are following industry trends. So whether that's, meeting internally, keeping up on different things that are going on as far as newsletters, things like that, webinars just like this. Our team is consistently staying in the loop with other vendors and trying to make sure that we're bringing you all the best information possible. We use outside keyword research tools. There's a lot out there that allow us to do some research on what are the hottest keywords, especially in different areas. We're regularly updating content, search terms, keywords, some of those I've already mentioned. And then of course, I want to make sure we get to it now, the monitoring updates on data privacy. So this has been definitely top of mind for our team. And Danielle, I think we just need to get right into it here.
Let's do it. So TCPA compliance, like Katie said, this has been a hot topic, and honestly, it's for good reason. We'll start, in case you don't know what it is. TCPA is the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. It's a federal law that's actually been around for a long time. It was initially passed in 1991 by Congress. It was in response to the growing number of unregulated telemarketing calls people were getting, so that initial round of consumer protection and spam calling. It's enforced and regulated by the FCC and the FTC. Customers can file complaints for violations with the FCC, or they can sue the company that violated the policy directly. You can see civil lawsuits, and you can also see class action lawsuits if there is enough noise. Now, fines range from $500 to $1,500 per phone call or text message. So this is a really big deal. Who does this apply to? So this applies to any person, any business, or any entity that conducts telephone solicitation. This means phone calls, the old phone system, or SMS messaging. So basically anyone on this call who generates leads or uses leads to build their business, this is going to apply to. TCPA compliance is simply the adherence to the regulations outlined in TCPA, and it really just requires prior consent. There are a lot of regulations that are already a part of TCPA. We'll run through these really quickly, but we want to get to the big one, which is going to be the new one. Currently, these rules include the DNC list, so making sure you adhere to the national do not call list as well as your internal do not call list, following call curfews for your state. There are components for disclosures and written consent. You need written consent to communicate with a client, and there are very specific disclosures and wording that needs to be followed when you are generating leads. You need to provide your clients and potential clients with both opt-in and opt-out options. There is some relevance in how you do this in regards to how easy it is. It needs to be simple and worded well for your clients to have that opportunity. This also regulates and does some restrictions on AI-generated phone calls, so robocalling, automated dialers. This definitely applies to that. And then it also includes record keeping. So I've gotten a lot of questions about record keeping lately. So businesses must have a record keeping system. It's 4 years. You must keep any SMS or text messages. That record keeping must include the opt-in and opt-out messages you sent to the client, any disclaimers sent to the client, and any ads sent to the client. For your phone calls, your actual telemarketing calls, it's a 5-year retention period, and you need to keep the telemarketer and seller involved, the subject of the call's duration, date, and time, the number that was called, and the number that the call came from, as well as a telemarketing script and any pre-recorded messages that were included. So that's a lot of information. Do your research. But the reason that TCPA is such a hot topic right now is the new rule that is going to be enforced on January 27th of 2025. This rule was started in December of 2023, but they wanted to give companies a 12-month rolling calendar to get everything ready and able to comply with this new rule. So the new rule is relationship to consent or one-to-one consent. So this rule is a regulatory requirement that ensures consumers provide prior express written consent for receiving marketing communications to each individual seller. So one-to-one direct consent. The new rule is really created to address the lead generation loophole that some companies have been able to use, where you can get a lead in and obtain consent from consumers to receive calls and texts from multiple partners. So for those of you on the call, say you've ever wanted to look at, you want a home equity, you go online, you fill out a form, and you start getting hundreds of calls and texts from random companies saying, I hear you're in the market for a mortgage. Look at our rates. You start getting inundated with that information. This rule was created to close that loophole and stop that from happening. TCPA consent is non-transferable. This is really important. So when it's one-to-one consent, if there's any transition of a lead from one company to another, that consent needs to be retaken and re-verified by the company. So please work on training your teams and looking into this. For the case of today's webinar, the biggest thing that we've been getting questions about is leads and lead generation. How does this implicate our current systems and what do we need to do? So we're going to jump into an example that I think will help show the differences in when you're buying leads versus when you're generating inbound leads, whether that's on your own with another company or YPC Media. So let's start with buying leads. When you go out to buy a lead, you're purchasing a lead from a lead buying company. So currently the way that most companies are getting those leads is they're running an ad or some website where a user comes in and says, we're going to use insurance for ease of use right now. I need an auto insurance quote. Then they go to this website that the lead company is running. They collect the lead information and ask all the qualifying questions needed. And based on that submission, a lead is generated and then sold out to as many as 3 to 5 companies, depending on that lead buyer's system. So company A, B, C, and D all get the same lead, and they're able to call on that lead based on that consent. That is what is changing on January 25th or 27th, 2025, is that ability to sell. Now, YPC Media has always run ads this way just because of the way our programs work, but there's many other inbound lead systems. You may be running them yourself. But what this means is you're running ads or you're driving leads from your own ad account and your own platforms. So you are running, Katie, I'm going to use you, Katie Fitzgerald, insurance company A. Someone searches for an auto quote near me. They come to Katie Fitzgerald, insurance company A's website. All the information is there. They put their lead information into the system. Qualifications are collected. The lead is generated via phone or website, depending on what type of ad you're using. And then the phone call that goes out is from Katie Fitzgerald, insurance company A. So that is your natural one-to-one consent. Now, regardless of what you use, you still have to follow all the additional TCPA rules and regulations, like the DNC list and the opt-in options, which we'll talk about. But the purpose of showing you this is to show you how you're going to be impacted with the ways that you generate your leads. Now, with YPC Media, we're here to educate you. We want you to be looking at your entire digital platform and your marketing strategy as a whole, not just one thing. We always say diversify your portfolio and review, where you're getting your leads from. We just want to give you the information of what you need to do to make sure that you're protected when it comes to TCPA compliance. So first and foremost, review how you get your leads. Right now, you're probably looking every quarter, if not every day, at what leads are generating the best results, right? We're talking to clients all the time. What is my cost per acquisition? What is my ROI? What leads are working the best for me now? Always be doing that and looking at that, but also review how you get your leads and how TCPA may change that. So if you are buying leads, you can still buy them in the future, but the lead buyers have to change how they're doing business to abide by these regulations. You ultimately are responsible at the end of the day for the TCPA compliance and the people that you call or text as a result. So you want to go and create great partnerships with your vendors. Ask your vendors how they're changing to abide by these regulations. How are they layering in that one-to-one consent? What is that going to look like for you? And then also you need to go and look at your teams to make sure that if you are buying those leads, that you're following all the right things to confirm that consent once the lead gets to your door. I think it's important to look at the holistic picture, but the truth is, come Q1 in that January element, the way this is going to impact your best sources of leads could look very different than it does right now. So because these lead purchasing companies, people you buy leads from, are going to have to go in and add that one-to-one consent, you may see a decrease in the flow of leads, which will ultimately increase the price of the leads that you're purchasing. So keep that in mind. And Katie's going to talk a little bit about how you can hedge against that and protect yourself moving forward.
I think it's a really good point, Danielle, and thanks for laying that out. And I think it's the question that we've been getting, and I know our account managers have talked to you all about that, is, how are YPC ads affected? Or if you are running ads with us, how are those affected? And like Danielle said, it's those inbound leads that you are getting from your Google account are automatically that one-to-one consent. There is no change that needs to be done to your YPC ads if that is what you're running through. I do know that there are a lot of you that with all of the changes that I went over, or Danielle did at the beginning, have seen either some of the best results that you've gotten with Google ads or some of the worst. And we know that that changes monthly, realistically, for, every area, every industry, it does change. So we want to really make sure that you all are taking this quarter to prepare for Q1. You're going to see the changes, like Danielle said. Those are very likely to also impact YPC ads, how we're doing that. We've always seen that when more people enter the market or other changes do happen, it does naturally impact ads. Whether that's positive or negative really depends. And it's not something that we can definitely promise one way or another. But the best thing that you can do is make sure that you have monthly meetings set up with your YPC account manager. You want to be, if you aren't already, meeting with that account manager to review those ads so that you're seeing any changes that happen and our team can get ahead of those. Our team always is monitoring your accounts as much as possible. And, really this is a true partnership with you. So we want to make sure that you're getting the results that your team needs to be able to do that. But we also want to make sure that when we get into Q1, we're able to adapt for you if other lead areas change for you. If we need to turn up your campaigns, we want to make sure that those are ready to be done. If, for your area, we need to put money into another area, we completely understand. The goal at the end of the day is to make sure that your business is thriving and getting the leads that you need to better your business. So really monitoring your results in Q1 is going to be super important, and having a backup plan. So whether that's talking to your other vendors, your YPC account manager, make sure you have a plan in place so that you're not dropping out at 0 leads come February 1st, and or the other way around, that you're paying way too much for a lead. So making sure that you have those details are really important, and it's going to vary for all of you out there, depending on your size of business, how many team members you have. There's so many factors that go into it. So meeting with your account manager is going to be super important so that they can help you identify some of the key things that you're going to need to know, going into Q1. So there's a list of things that they can help you with. We can get our media buyers involved to make sure that you all are having the best results that you can. So really what's next from here, we went over a lot of information, and we know that based on your industry, based on your type of campaigns, you all are likely to have more questions. We definitely didn't cover everything in these 30 minutes, but what we would like to do is extend, another solution for you all to get in touch with us rather than setting up appointments and more time with that. Something exclusive for you all today that joined, we did start a YPC Insiders Facebook group. If you go ahead and scan that QR code, you'll be able to get into that exclusive group. We're going to continue to share TCPA compliance updates as we get them. We know that there are more things that will change. It also allows you to ask questions if you, don't have time for an appointment with your account manager, or are looking to see what other people in the industry are doing. Feel free to ask questions in there. So please join. We are going to share, I saw a question come in, that checklist. We do have an infographic that is coming your way. We'll share that first to the Facebook group. So make sure you join that to get the first view of that. You'll be able to save that and utilize that when talking to vendors or your account manager or anything like that. So please feel free to join. The link to that Facebook group will also be in the email that you get after this meeting concludes. So please join that. Please ask questions and be involved, and definitely continue learning what you need to do to make sure that you are fully covered. We do not want anyone to get hit with any of those fines. So let us know if there are any additional questions. I think we have 1 minute. Danielle, I'll peek over and see.
Pop the questions right in the Q&A. We'll put those into Facebook. Go to the Facebook group, ask questions there. And truly, guys, this is an educational piece, but there are so many different nooks and crannies we can dive into, especially with that TCPA compliance, your landing pages, websites, what disclosures look like. What do they actually need to say? What's the verbiage? That's the stuff we're going to be putting in this group. That's the stuff your account managers can help you with. 30 minutes is not enough time to cover it all, but we wanted to give you a good snapshot and give you this resource. So if you're looking for more information on vendors or partners that can help you with things like record keeping or disclosure copy, we are here to help you do that. We are going to be a resource to you. And we thank you so much for joining us today as we discussed how Google is changing forever and the advertising landscape is changing forever. We want to say, again, thank you, share this information, and we look forward to you joining us for our next webinar. See you in the Facebook group.
Yes. Thank you all.